It's awesome to meet you.
Same here. I'm a
Congratulations.
fan.
I love it. It's awesome to have you. So I'm just going to jump right in. I know you don't have that
Hmm.
much time. So first off, tell me about the big infrastructure push. And I know you guys have talked about up to 2 trillion in spending. What are you sort of envisioning there?
Well, there's really two ways of thinking about it. First is urgently meeting the moment. Look, we know that the transportation sector in particular has been decimated by the effects of the pandemic, and millions of jobs are at stake, our livelihoods are at stake. And even if you don't work in the transportation sector, chances are you rely on transit or something else adjacent to it for your well-being. And so the president is acting swiftly to make sure that we have the resources to restore and build back this important sector. But then the broader vision of a recovery is, as the president says, not just build back, but build back better. This isn't just rewinding to 2019. This is how to make sure that the 2020s are remembered as the years in which America once more took the lead on infrastructure globally. And that's everything from making sure our roads and bridges are up to date, to being prepared for a future that includes electric vehicles and automated vehicles. And it means doing so in a way that meets the climate challenge and that meets challenges of racial and economic justice that, frankly, in the past have sometimes been made worse by federal decisions about transportation. But now we have a chance to make things much better.
What are you personally most excited about when it comes to infrastructure? I know you have a lot of experience with sort of sidewalks, biking, that kind of stuff. Is there something that really gets you motivated every day?
You know, every part of it is really exciting to me. I'm a huge transportation geek. It's part of why I love the opportunity to do this work. Obviously, as a mayor, I'm thinking a lot about things like micro mobility, just getting around, whether it's on foot or on a bicycle, not assuming that the only role of the street is to push a vehicle through as quickly as possible. But whether we're talking about what we can do there, or whether we're talking about long haul passenger train travel and long haul air travel. We know that every one of these areas is ripe for a leap forward like we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, so many things that we do haven't changed that much since the 50s, and I think they're about to.
Yeah, that's very true. One of the things that we're most excited about at the Point Sky is high-speed trains. So I guess the question is, how do you balance big ticket, high impact urban rail improvements like the Northeast Corridor? You know, we've got Amtrak high-speed trains rolling out, but how do you balance that with the needs of rural America in places like Montana, where I know they're pushing to get Amtrak service to come back to parts
Yeah.
of southwestern Montana?
Well, to me, this is not an either or, and maybe I feel that way because I am from a city where I could take a bus to a comparatively tall building I used to work in, or I could take a walk to the nearest cornfield. And so I know that all these things fit together. And you think about where I come from, the Midwest. If we could network the cities of the Midwest into shorter distances by passenger rail between each other, that would benefit rural and urban areas alike. So whether we're talking about the opportunities in a place like Montana, or whether we're talking about the Northeast Corridor that is a regional piece of infrastructure with national economic significance, what we know is that it all has to be part of an integrated vision. And the core of that vision is that an American citizen should have nothing to envy from a Japanese or Chinese, or for that matter, Italian or Turkish citizen when it comes to the opportunities for them to travel quickly where they need to be and safely on passenger rail.
And do you see any immediate action on high-speed rail?
Well, that's obviously part of the policy conversation that is ahead of us because we have a recovery package to follow on the heels of the rescue plan being discussed today, and a surface transportation reauthorization bill ahead too. So those policy processes are going to be a chance for the Congress, stakeholders, and frankly, the whole country to be in a conversation about what we're willing to do. And I believe the political will is there on a bipartisan basis to make an investment like we haven't in my lifetime.
Yeah, it seems like you could get some sign off from the Republicans as well on this. Maybe it'll finally be infrastructure week.
I'm hoping it'll be infrastructure year.
Yeah, let's hope so. The other thing I want to talk about is airports. Airports are in desperate need of funding for big ticket items, infrastructure items. There's been no real increase in airport improvement program grants or in passenger facility fees. I think it's 450 per leg right now, capped at 2 legs. Um, do you see that as a possibility, sort of raising some of those fees to get improvements to our airports?
We've definitely got to look at sustainable funding. And this is another example of something that really got ravaged by the pandemic because so much relies on those fees that obviously fell almost by 100% for a period of time. There are a lot of different views on how best to do it, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves on that. But what we know is that we've got to have first-rate airport infrastructure in this country if we want to be economically competitive.
One of the things that goes hand in hand with that is the NextGen air traffic control system that's been in
Yep.
the works in some form or fashion since the 90s, I believe.
Yep.
Any effort, or can we finally get some funds together to fully fund that and get that done?
I think so. There's definitely a lot of appetite for this in Congress. It came up during my confirmation process. I've already been speaking to FAA leadership, and I know this is one of the key things to do. As you know, it's complex. There's a lot of pieces to it. It's not just a piece of equipment or software that one day you say, all right, we've made it. It's NextGen. It's a whole set of overlapping technologies and procedures. But we get it right. It benefits safety. It assures American leadership in air traffic control. And there are some climate benefits here because we know that aircraft don't have to be in the air quite as much if we're moving around more efficiently and safely than thanks to what NextGen could mean.
Yeah, and it could also help with environmental issues as we go ahead and
Exactly.
get this timed right. Um, so the Biden administration has been very aggressive about changes to mask mandates, to testing requirements and things like that. We're sort of still waiting for details on the quarantine that's going to be required. Do you have anything additional to share on that about sort of timeline, how it's going to be enforced, anything like that?
Well, of course, right now we're focused on implementing the executive action that the president has taken with a big role for FAA and in dialogue with CDC. I can't speak to any future steps yet, although I can tell you that any steps that are taken in the future, they're going to be informed by talking to stakeholders. They're going to be informed by science and medicine. And the bottom line is always going to be safety because we know that the more there is a perception as well as a reality of safety, the more that restores confidence and restores the industry too.
Are you still considering testing requirement for domestic flights?
So there's a conversation underway with the CDC on that. And again, what I can tell you is that the guiding lights of that conversation will be a lot of engagement and dialogue and a lot of attention to evidence and data.
Okay, well, we'll wait for word on that. Any updates on Cuba policy or changes? You know, the Trump administration was pretty aggressive about rolling back some of the opening that President Obama had put into place. Just wondering if you guys have thought any more about that so far.
So really looking to the State Department to take the lead on that, but I'll tell you as anything develops there, we'll want to make sure that we're supporting that from a transportation perspective any way we can.
Yeah. All right, let's do a quick lightning round.
All right.
I know you're a big av geek. So are you an aisle or a window person?
Definitely window, so I can lean my head and sleep.
Okay, that's good. And what about carry-on or checked bags? You check bags?
Never if I can help it. No, definitely carry on. And it's amazing what you can cram into a carry on if you're efficient.
It is, and you got to be crafty and make sure you're not doing more than 2 items. American Airlines will crack down on you. What is your favorite U.S. airport?
Well, obviously, I'm partial to South Bend International Airport. Matter of fact, we're proud of the fact that it went international on my watch. And I have a very soft spot for O'Hare because that's where I proposed to Chasten. As I said in my announcement, you don't let anybody tell you O'Hare isn't romantic. And then actually, Traverse City, where Chasten's from, has done a remarkable job, I think, of using space very well. It's called Cherry Capital Airport because they're the cherry capital of the world. And sometimes they can make an announcement without even using the PA because everything is kind of very cozy. And at the same time, they have a healthy amount of traffic through there for a community that size. That's definitely one of the more charming airports I've been to.
I think we need to spotlight that one. I don't think we've done any stories on that, so that sounds good. Any international airport features that you've seen? Obviously, there's some pretty spectacular airports around the world
Yeah.
that you'd like to see here in the United States.
Well, I'll say that the quality I like best of a great airport design is, on one hand, it has the kind of universal idiom of airport architecture, and makes you feel like you're in that kind of magical international space, but it's still in some way specific to where it is. Stockholm, for example, just something about the flooring even, and the lights. I think a wood or something resembling wood floor in part of it. At least last time I passed through, kind of lets you know you're somewhere in particular, even though you feel like you're kind of out in the world. And again, that's a quality that you don't have to be in one of the great grand global airports to see. A place like Traverse City does the exact same thing.
Yeah, I was in the Singapore airport, and they've got that
Mm.
amazing waterfall. But even LaGuardia has a waterfall now, so I think
How about that?
we're stepping up our games. Um, I don't know how big a fan you are of points and miles, but have you ever redeemed credit card points or miles for a trip?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What was your best redemption?
Let's see. Definitely. Well, our honeymoon, we went out to Bali, and took a creative routing to do that. But then also, actually, when I was my first job out of college, um, I, um, I got into a language program in Tunisia to study Arabic, and I kind of wanted to see the world. And I can't remember how I did it, but I figured out some routing where I actually went west instead of east, from South Bend to Tunisia, and for the first time got to see places like Bangkok, and it was pretty amazing. I don't know if I could figure out all over again how I laundered those points and miles to do it, but it was exciting for somebody who didn't have a lot of actual cash to use on travel.
Yeah, that's what we're here for, and that's actually pretty advanced. So I give you kudos for that one. What airline did you fly to Bali? Do you remember?
I think it was a combination of United, Eva, and maybe Thai on the way back. Something
Wow.
else came into play. I can't remember exactly. I have to admit that as proficient as I like to think I am, Chasten's the real master of the points wizardry.
Well, that's a good to know.
All right.
We'll have to
I'm
talk,
getting the
Chad.
high sign here, so I guess we're about
Okay.
up, but excited to talk to you.
Yeah, so good to see you. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Look forward to
Good
it.
luck. Good luck.
Thanks.